Yo, this is Lone with the New Old Heads for episode 426. I recorded Jay Moore doing this, but I accidentally forgot to plug in the microphone, so it's just him talking about nothing. This episode, we talked about Kendrick GNX and if the features are the worst thing about the project, but with an extra added caveat with that conversation. We talked about J. Cole and his new record and what it means. We talked about Wu-Tang going on tour with Run the Jewels and what that means. We talked about RZA and an interview that he recently did where he talked about them going on tour with Rage Against the Machine and injection of white fans and all that stuff. We also did some extra music reactions for our Patreon members, but tap into episode 426. Peace.
You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The brothers are in the building. Starting off with my man, Jay Moore. How are you, good sir? See you collared up. I see you.
You know, sometimes you just got to switch it up. You know, I didn't feel quite like a jersey today. I got a new one, but I'm not going to wear it until I'll take that Tuesday.
Okay.
Something special.
I ain't mad at that. My man, Lonegevity. How are you, buddy?
Hello, I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Nice.
Spectacular.
Nice LB hoodie. So
Thanks,
you repping the culture, as they
I
say.
gotta support one of my favorite groups, man.
Hey, man. Great times. DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
How are you, my friend?
I am here.
You are here. That is true.
I'm having a drink.
Here you are.
It's pretty tasty, you know.
Well, doesn't hurt.
Doesn't.
Sometimes it does.
You have to do a lot
If you
before it starts
overindulge,
hurting.
yeah.
I do a lot.
I know.
Go ahead.
Shout out to the homie Bayou Beely. He's in the background. Appreciate you, sir.
Kendrick Lamar's critically acclaimed GNX is still buzzing the charts post-Super Bowl. However, one of the most notable parts of the album was the album's number of features. Kendrick had 7 of LA's underground MCs on the project to provide opportunities for up-and-coming artists. And this is where we potentially get a little controversial, but the intent here is not to criticize, but to talk about a deeper issue within the independent artist realm. Okay, so the question today is posed is, are the features the weakest part of GNX? 1. And further, did this approach of getting super underground LA artists on GNX jump them past artists that were a little bit more worthy of getting such a look? And was he pandering with a younger crowd with this move? And do we see this in other cities with other artists as well, depending on the different who's moving around and who's doing stuff like this? So that's the general statement, right?
Well, that's a lot.
Let's just start at the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
Are the features the worst part of GNX to you guys?
Yes. I'll just say it. The parts that I enjoy on GNX are Kendrick. I can't say that about the young lady, like the Spanish intro.
That's fire. Yeah, that's dope.
That's different.
What's the guy's name? Lefty Gunplay?
Yeah, he's one of them.
You know, I've heard a couple things from him that I don't think are too bad, you know, but it was like the other stuff on there, I'm like, okay, I mean, shout out to Kendrick for looking out for the city, if you will. But, you know, when you have access to basically any and everybody, then, bring a couple of these people on. But to have an entire album that is basically features from unknown. Well, I don't want to say an entire album because, you know, of course.
Outside of SZA.
SZA, yeah, of course. She's definitely not unknown. But, you know, some of these features were really head scratching to the point where, like, you know, was J-Rock doing something this day? Where, you know, where's Schoolboy Q?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I understand there might be, you know, some things there. I mean, but it seems like there's still a healthy relationship with TDE or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the point where my first few listens through, I just couldn't get into the features, and I thought it distracted from the overall vibe of like that's been my criticism so far. But like a lot of times, you know, I don't know if Kendrick's kind of get his own thing started because, you know, like when I would listen to Jay-Z and the first thing I hear is Memphis Bleak, and this is no diss to Memphis Bleak because, you know, I actually wound up liking his music a lot more than I thought I would. But
Some of it.
Yeah, but you can go through, even when you listen to The Chronic, you know, and you'd be like, well, who is RBX? You know, you can go through almost any major.
Wu-Tang had a lot of them.
You know, shout out to Method Man. It was Street Life that was
Street
all
Life
over.
was fire.
Yeah, Street Life
Yeah.
was actually good, though.
Yeah.
True. Glad y'all said that.
But, you know, like when I bought that CD back in the day and I looked at the back of it and I was like, who is Street Life and why is he on like 5 and 6 songs? So, yeah, I mean, if anybody has that criticism specifically of the GNX album, I completely understand.
I would say the features were, maybe a little underwhelming just because of, and I'm not going to say because of the unknown part, but
no, I don't think that's it at all.
I don't think that's it. It's just, I'm talking about the actual quality of the features.
Yeah.
And the more I started to listen to it, the more it sounded like alive. Like we threw a lob to the homies, which I'm not mad at, but do I think it curved my opinion of the project? No. But I would call the features underwhelming for sure. Yeah.
Would you have felt different if instead of it being in your phone, you went to the store, bought this CD, and like once you felt like Kendrick was getting into his pocket, all of a sudden you're hearing from underground LA rapper number 3 that you don't know?
See, I don't think
I don't know if that. I don't know if that necessarily
because I've been over. I mean, I think what we're speaking to is the quality. Because like I've been overwhelmed and like, who is this guy on past projects?
Exactly.
I didn't say that on these features.
There was nothing like
on
that
these. It was like it became more and more like, this is more of a lob than him saying
he's putting his people, his city on.
Instead, I'm trying to make a dope record with these features because it didn't come off that way. Not to me.
I didn't mind it. Like, it didn't bother me. Because obviously the star of the show was Kendrick.
Right.
And he shined on every song. And it was more so, even if he was doing a solid by putting some lesser knowns on the album in order for them to get some shine, it also invited other people to be fans of Kendrick at the same time. I kind of feel that this is a different style of album for Kendrick overall. So I think what he was doing on this particular album is speaking to the people saying that he can't make music that isn't the black righteous spaceman activist, so to speak, like people try to say he is. So
that Harriet Tubman music that we talked about last week,
that type thing. So I think personally, especially with him being from California, these are the sounds and the influences and the type of rap that they actually get into, regardless of the rap that we hear outside of there, because like it's like Texas and California are their own place. So there's artists that can be eating really well off of their artistry in those particular regions, and we don't know who they are, and they really love them where they're at, and that's it. That's pretty much where the buck stops. So I kind of figure it was a lob as far as that's concerned. It might be some people he actually rocks with, but I don't think personally that it tarnished GNX to me, because
I think tarnished is too strong of a phrase.
Yeah.
Or even. What was the particular phrase?
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm saying what you want. What was the particular? What did we say?
It's just the weakest link.
The weakest link. I mean, I think kind of added to the vibe. Honestly, I didn't really see it as a weak link. I felt like in totality it all made sense, and Kendrick brought it home with his verses, and he gave them a little time to shine, because it's not like they were like rapping multiple verses on the song. Some of them weren't even 16 bars. This is just a feature. You know what I'm saying, to kind of give you a little shine and move on. So I didn't really see a problem with it.
This is definitely Jordan dropping 63 in the Garden on those old Bulls teams where it pretty much was just him. That's what this is. Like, Kendrick took care of business.
He's playing with Judd Bushler and Bill Wennington and out there.
The old school, Orlando Warriors, them old Bulls way back.
Lefty gunplay, Bill Wennington now.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Who's the Stacey King of the project?
Don't see. Now y'all going down a rabbit hole. Don't do that.
But
we're not going to do Judd Bushler like that.
But in comparison, like,
it's definitely Jordan 63.
Does this make anybody interested in going and listening to, just for the sake of being critical, right? Mm-hmm. Like, sure, GNX is GNX. I think it's cool that he put his people on, from his city and all that other stuff. But there's some other conversation around this. But is anybody interested in going and checking out any of these artists that were on GNX, though?
Not personally, not me. But like even when I didn't hear any other albums where people feature a bunch of different artists, I can like the album, I can like what they did for that particular project, but I'm not interested in listening to the artist. Outkast is a perfect example of a group that is my favorite group that used people on songs, and I was not interested in hearing anything else from that particular person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So
that's actually a good point.
there are Outkast projects like Aquemini. There's that one track or song, I don't know.
Mamacita.
Yeah, it's got a whole bunch of people on it. I skip that one every single time.
I listen to it. I still like the song.
Stacks blacked
I can't
out on
stand the last verse. The last verse is completely trash. I know y'all didn't listen to it. I don't even think that guy even had an album.
Again, I skipped it, so I don't even know what it is. But like, You know, like
Dre blacked out on
we
that
see
part,
we see this with like Wu-Tang affiliates. We see this with affiliates. You know, like with every single label throughout time. You know, and where people are putting people on, and sometimes I wonder, like it's just like the look for the homie in the sense, right?
Yeah.
And Kendrick had this interview with Apple Music, and he talked about, you know, like it's kind of like to what we were talking about maybe like a week ago, where we were talking about the fact that the difference between Kendrick and LaMelo Ball, and the sense of how like Kendrick grinded for 15 years and he put all the work in all the right ways and became the artist that he was, and LaMelo just kind of jumped ahead of a whole bunch of people. And my only comment or concern, it's not even really a concern about this, would be who jumped. Did these, and I don't know because I don't know these artists at all, but did they jump the line simply because they fit the aesthetic of what this was, and because potentially Kendrick wanted to pander to that audience?
I think with
maybe pander is a strong word there, but you know what I mean, right?
I think they definitely
to prove his point.
They jumped the line first and foremost. They definitely did, because this type of look for these artists, based off what my research in terms of just who they are. I haven't jumped into, catalogs or whatever from all of them, but based off who they are and them being up and coming, they definitely jumped the line by getting a lob from him on this project during this time with everything going on. Yes, that's a huge look. That's a huge look for them. Was Kendrick kind of pandering towards their, to kind of use the fan base for them, and then also, to Terry's point, further prove that he can make a record like this?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I think he is.
I kind of think he is too. I think that's kind of was some of the motivation behind it.
Because he proved that he can. It sounds like he really wanted to prove, yes, I can make records that y'all say I can't make without the slave talk and this free to people, all that, whatever they say he does. Conceptual. All his projects are conceptual. This is the most West Coast project I've ever heard him put out.
Yeah.
I can't say that, because
true to his culture.
Good Kid, Mad City was very West Coast.
I mean, he had MC was on it.
From a cinematic point of view, that was Menace to Society on whack.
But the production, but I feel like Good Kid, Mad City, and all this stuff, like the sound of it could be transferred, like it can be appreciated heavily in other regions and other areas, whereas GNX is very much it's very regional.
Like when I listen to the project outside of this, is when I first listened to it, I said, okay, this is a heavily Bay influenced project. But then I said, when I heard Man in the Garden, I said, okay, there you go. Hard Part 6, okay, there he is. Or Gloria, okay, there he is. Right. But the rest, or Luther, the rest of it is Bay music. I don't know if I've heard a project like that from
the Bay, though.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. But Good Kid, Mad City sounds really L.A. Compton-ish. So that's why I can't say that.
Well, maybe not L.A. Maybe not L.A. Yeah. Maybe just like combining and like, because I feel like also with the pop out and, there was the with the Drake thing, and, I just think y'all don't like the West Coast. You know? Like it's uniting the coast and that, the Bay and LA and that sound together.
I think that kind of goes to this conversation, because West Coast residents and people have a different type of ear when it comes to rappers and music that they want to listen to. Like,
100%.
Even in the Bay, a lot of people were real hip to what's his name? Nikita. I'm sound like I'm
Andre Nicotina. Of
course, the Thea's Guide. He actually
what's his name? Mac Dre.
Mac Dre.
Yeah, Mac Dre.
Yeah,
so Ronald Dragon, whoever.
Yeah. So these are. They're an acquired taste. As far as a rapper.
E40 is an acquired taste.
E40 is big in the Midwest, though. He's very big.
I heard him literally playing at the gas station.
You know what I'm saying? Like
we grew up on E40.
Sebo is another one. Sebo is very big in the Midwest, but there's so many different flavors on the West Coast. Certain of them stick in other regions, other ones don't, essentially. But they pretty much invite them all.
Are there really that many flavors on the West Coast?
I think it's more. I think it's more than you
like 3 or 4.
No,
because Mac Dre is a good example, because I found out about Mac Dre later. I always knew who Too Short and E40 were. Always, like when we was kids.
Ain't Brother Lynch hung from the West Coast?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's like a horrorcore rapper,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Brother Lynch, not him, but Mac Dre is a Thiz rapper.
But then we also
Keek
had
the Sneak. You know what I'm saying? They all have
hyphy.
They have
all that.
they have various different.
Then you had Souls of
styles and
Mischief. You
flavors.
had
Souls of Mischief. Yeah.
another level. A lot of people don't remember that group. Then you had Freestyle Fellowship. You know, like there was but you got to remember the Alcoholics are from the West Coast.
Yep.
True.
Razzcast is from the West
You got
Coast.
Larry June.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That style. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they have a whole
Staples.
lot of styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot
Future.
but a lot of those styles are very similar. It's just like they seem like cousins. Like I feel like the Bay Area sounds of all the people you mentioned from the Bay, outside of maybe the Souls of Mischief, they feel like cousins musically.
Digital
Same-
Underground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of the LA artists kind of have a similar commonality. Like when you talk about Vince, you talk about even Kendrick and TDE, those guys. You talk about. Then again, there's also like the Alchemist, Madlib, Muggs,
Yeah.
right? Soul
Tyler,
Assassins, Tyler. But Tyler's like, it's all, I don't know, it's all similar. But I can still feel the West Coast in it, I guess.
The Bay to me is one of the most unique. That one is just stands out to me. The Bay sound I knew immediately as soon as I heard it, I was like, this the Bay, 100%.
Because honestly, the Bay, I'm trying to think, did I hear Too Short before I heard NWA?
I did.
I think
That's
Too
what I
Short
kinda
was
feel
out.
like I did.
He was out before, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, because the thing is, Life is Too Short. That was my
after.
That was my introduction to Too Short.
Oh, really?
Because
Mine was Born to Mac.
what was
Born to Mac is like an all white
what
album cover, and I think it's a Cadillac.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah,
What album was Life is Too Short? That
Life
was
is Too Short was like the blue album where it's like a gravestone on it.
Yeah, that's right. And so like that, I just remember like that got played on St. Louis radio heavy. And
Now,
my
NWA was out before that album.
So let me pose this question to you guys and see what you guys think. So just go a little bit deeper on this. Does it hurt the economy of the art to put artists on in a city that are popular rather than the dope artists that have come up through the culture grinding a career?
I think it does.
Does it hurt?
Hurt not necessarily the economy, but the economy of the art in itself.
My thing here's why I say it does. Because
and just real quick, I'm kind of correlating this to Kendrick a little bit, but it's not a one of one. This is just something that came to my mind with this, based upon this and last week's conversation.
100%. But that's a conversation that we can have as it relates to responsibility on the artist who is quote unquote doing the putting on, right?
Right.
So if you know in your heart that there are artists in your city that are elite talents, but you choose to select those that have, we'll call it the buzz.
Right.
That's a choice that you have to make and live with. But for me, that reflects the city when you put those people on, because people are going to say, oh, that's what's popping there. That's what they sound like. So do you really care about how your city is perceived? That's the question, because who you pick determines how people are going to look at where you come from. You see what I'm saying?
No,
So
for sure.
you have to be cognizant of who you select and give those lobs to.
Yeah.
Because do you want people to come back and be like, yeah, that's where old girl came from or dude came from. He trash. I wonder if the rest of them sound like that.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Like, I think there is a level of responsibility that comes with that when you are blessed to be in that position.
I mean, like, to bring the Chronic back up, not that GNX and the Chronic are, comparable. When Dre brought Snoop, Rage, Daz, Corrupt, it was like he set up the West Coast for the next 4 or 5 years just based off of those people's unknowns that he picked.
DOC.
Yeah, I mean, DOC was already the man as far as a writer. You know what I'm saying? And so like that was what his contribution was. And so like I just think Kendrick did not set up the West Coast and I could be wrong, but like based on what I heard, he didn't set up the West Coast for the next 4 or 5 years based on these people who were on his album.
I think because they're already there. I kind of feel like
set up for the rest of the country. Like were the rest of the country. Like I was like, what's the next thing I'm gonna hear from Rage? I can't wait for a Dog Pound album. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the thing we talked. I remember we would talk in nauseum. Because of course now mind you, information didn't run as fast without the internet, but I just remember we would want any nugget we could get out of the source or rap sheet or whatever about whatever was happening on Death Row. Oh, this album's coming. Oh, there's a freestyle over here.
And that's the thing too, though.
We wanted anything we could get from what came out of off the Chronic.
Those artists were signed to Death Row. So they had an obligation in order to put them to the forefront, in order to try to set them up for the future. Because at the end of the day, that's part of the machine that they were building. What Kendrick is doing here, I don't see him signing these artists to PG Lang. I feel like it was literally just a lob for the city as a whole. I don't know personally who's buzzing in LA or California.
I don't either. I don't think we know that.
They might be the ones that are buzzing.
Yes, it's very possible.
They might.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't really speak from knowing who he's supposed to put on. Now I can say who I think he should have had on his album
for sure.
For who I know, I think he should have had Larry June on there. He should have had a couple of TDE artists on there.
Could throw Thurs on there. That'd be nice.
You know, stuff
throw
like
Dom
that.
Kennedy on there.
Yeah, he could have did that. But I feel like
there's a newer batch of artists too, you know, and I feel like that's what he was trying to do.
I think he was just because these artists that we're talking about, again, the West Coast has a following to where a lot of times they don't need the outside world to contribute to that. So like you said, Thurs has I wouldn't say a cult following, but I think he does pretty well.
Yeah.
He does pretty well within his own realm of things.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily an artist that needs to be put on, because he doesn't have a mainstream sound that's going to attach to people.
I guess
Kendrick is even having.
I guess that would be my. I guess that would be my argument, though. You know what I mean? Like Kendrick doesn't even have a mainstream sound.
That's what I'm saying.
So it would make sense to put somebody like that who is super talented, who can do a whole bunch of different stuff like that, in that particular position to grow even bigger outside, who has also shown that he is somebody who has grinded extremely hard. You know, he's literally followed the same model that Kendrick talks about, you know, when he talks about, even in the interview, which we didn't watch, but he's like, it makes it, essentially he was saying it makes it feel so much better knowing all of the work that I went through to get to the point that I'm at. Right. And when I look at, and again, I'm not trying to compare artists here, but when you do, for example, Thurs, like we're talking about, when you think about Thurs, like you think all about the You and I, all this stuff that he's done solo-wise, his Party in My Living Room stuff, all the features, all the stuff that he's done.
Definitely put the work in.
He's like the quintessential person who's grinded extremely hard. And when I look at his career, I'm like, I feel like he should be so much higher up as far as known is concerned in that manner, even though I'm sure he's fine. And I think he doesn't really put out any bad music. Yeah. So to me, and don't get me wrong, he was just working on like Dre's album, that just dropped recently, the Dre and Snoop joint. So, and he had Snoop on his last album. So it's like, I'm not trying to like diminish him in the sense of like, he's not getting looks and needs it or anything like that. But it is cool from my perspective to see artists like that who have put in so much work, given a look like that in that particular type of manner.
So I'll say this. I think that Kendrick has done his due diligence by including people like Kamasi Washington.
He's done it in the past. Absolutely.
Terrace Martin, who's like executive produced things of his. Yep. Who else? I mean,
Rhapsody Anna Wise.
Yep. So
I mean, the list goes on and on and on, for sure.
So I think he handles his business as far as that's concerned. This is more like, I more so look at this as a responsibility for an artist that gets on somewhere where nobody else is on. I feel like this particular artist, when we talk about, I'm gonna put the city on.
This is a little bit different from a Kendrick perspective.
This is different from a Kendrick. I feel like somebody like that, they actually hold more fire to the flame, so to speak, in order to present to you what we have to offer.
Yeah. It's like if somebody here locally in Indianapolis blows up, and they bring somebody along and they go and like, all right, these are the top 5 artists on Spotify. I'm going to bring you guys with me, no matter who they are, regardless of who's been grinding and putting spectacular work out for the last 5 years. I think that's different. I would agree with that, that nuance.
I'm with you on that.
Because he has such again, we just talked about how many different styles and regions and things that the West Coast has. For him to like literally like fine tooth comb, pick through all of these dope artists, I don't know. I think that's a different task for a Kendrick Lamar versus somebody that gets on in a region where nobody really knows who they are.
And there's a difference between, to Terry's point, I guess a presentation or rollout, if you will, versus a lob. Because a lob is just what it is. It's a lob. So we're going to throw you a lob real quick. Appreciate you. I hope it helps you. versus the other part is it's more intricate. There's more stuff behind it. So I can dig that.
I mean, I hope that these artists that were on there and do actually turn this into something positive, and they do continually to, it significantly helps their careers.
And we're not saying
if they're deserving of it. I don't know.
And we're not saying that they haven't worked hard, because I'm sure they're working hard now. So
for sure.
Or we're working hard previously because they had to do something for him to know him. Yeah. So we're not saying they're not working hard, but it's a nuanced conversation for sure.
Definitely less about the working hard and more about the product, I think.
Deserving the opportunity, because you can work hard and still not deserve the opportunity.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because we could even talk about Freddie Gibbs.
Right.
Freddie Gibbs is in a position to where he can do amazing things with people from Indiana.
Yeah.
As far as shining light on it, because
except he doesn't really claim Indiana, right?
He just claims Gary.
Right.
But I mean, he's definitely in a position to where he could champion a whole movement of Indiana artists if he decided he wanted to.
Yeah.
And it would be respected. Facts.
Yeah.
It would be respected.
Because Freddie is I mean, he's not mentioned among a lot of the newer greats, but he is he's a great artist, and probably should be. He has a solid discography.
Man.
But he's definitely in one of those positions to where if he did something and was like, let me get some people from Hammond, let me get some people from Nap, let me get some people from Fort Wayne, and like really put together something that he wanted to just push Indiana to the forefront, I think he could actually do it.
Maybe. That little nuance there about the responsibility and the artist stuff is not something that you see talked about very often, but it's definitely something that like I think about often, being in a city with a lot of artists that nobody's quite blown up, but you see certain people get kind of big, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that's is that it?
Is that it? is that the one?
Are they going? Are they going? Oh, they're not going.
They're not going.
Okay.
They're not going.
Kind of fluttered out.
And then at the same time, it's like, would it have been good if they did or not? Like, would it really be positive for the city and the growth aspect?
Because the right person needs to have that particular power in order to kind of move it forward. So
there's definitely a responsibility that comes with that, for sure.
J. Cole dropped Clouds. Did you guys hear that?
Yes. Listen.
Okay. Yeah. And it's great. And I'm not sure it matters. And
it doesn't. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. And J. Cole returned last Thursday, February 20th, with his first release of the year, Clouds, with loud in capital letters, in which he touched on everything from Donald Trump's assassination attempt to growing conversation around the artificial intelligence, and did so while barring everything up as he usually does. So even though this record is another in a long line of dope Cole records, has the response proven that he has officially been removed from the Big Three conversation?
So
in that whole thing, that we're talking about. Because to me, real quick, there was coverage on it, right? Yeah. People covered it. But at the same time, it just didn't have the same type of like zeal. It was just kind of like, Cole dropped another good record.
Well, him gracefully bowing out has always been, we talked about that when that actually happened. So he's kind of been in the weeds, and he has his new site. It was called the algorithm or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but he has a site where I'm gonna find the name of it. I think it has something to do with algorithm, but that's neither here nor there. I said it to say he drops unreleased stuff, and he'll drop records here and there. But I think you're right in terms of the impact. Like when it hits, dope record. But when you pose the question, does it matter? I don't know. I don't know if it really matters. Not that it's not Cole, but in the grand scheme of things, where he is now versus where he was, pre-battle, if you will.
I think
maybe something has shifted just a tad.
I think it solidifies our conversation about there only being a big one now.
Yeah.
A big one.
The big three talk has.
I don't know, man. Drake's still moving them units out here now.
That has nothing.
Yeah, Drake,
he's moving units now. He's still moving units,
but not hip hop units.
Yeah. No, well, not hip hop units, but he's moving them now. He's still moving.
Yeah, that Spanish units.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
The thing is, when we were talking about Big Three, look, it really is just Kendrick and everybody else. Let's just stop, and I don't care how many records. What's his name? Drake sells. It just doesn't matter at this point. Like, because once again, and I was not being condescending or mean when I said this last year, but Drake is always going to have, women and little kids. And when we're talking about discussion about hip hop and Big Three, we don't factor that in. Sounds messed up, but we just don't. If we were going to factor that in, it would have never been Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. Like, we'd have been talking about other people who might, dance a little bit more and were a little bit more colorful. We wouldn't have picked those three back in the day. So, and the thing is, like, I thought the J. Cole record, I know I had a little snarky comment there, but like it was I loved what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still think J. Cole is an elite MC.
But maybe that's it.
But that's, and the thing is, if that's it, that's not the worst thing to be out here.
No, it's not. But
but if you think you're going to be at the you can't make an argument from him being at the top of the food chain right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody, because it can only be one person at the top. And that guy just did the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think what Cole is the gift and the curse as far as how Cole bowed out of this battle and pretty much apologized for making that song aimed at Kendrick, so to speak.
There we go.
And then deleted it off a project called Might Delete Later.
Right.
It kind of showed his hand when it comes to wanting to be the top of the food chain. And when you listen to Cole's lyrics, not even on just this song, he always talks about how good he is and how he's better than any other MC. He brought it up on this song. He alluded to the line escapes me, but he said something about pretty much just being better than anybody and deading the rest.
Yeah.
But you bowed out of a battle. And you can say that he did it gracefully and I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it. That was good for his spirit. I applaud him for that. But when we talk about this game, they were saying Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, big three. Kendrick was like, nah, I'm about to really show y'all who's the biggest in this shit, and I'm going to take it to a different level. Because when you think about it, honestly, Kendrick and Cole was kind of neck and neck as far as on a level, so to speak. Kendrick decided to amplify his level to let you know, no, I'm really here to let you know that I'm the best, versus just talking about I'm the best over a smooth beat. Now, what J. Cole did was prove exactly who he is. He's a great rapper.
Yeah.
J. Cole don't around when it comes to rapping, and he did it in his stanzas, his patterns, his breath control, his lyrics, all of that. But that's what Cole is going to do. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z signed him.
Yeah. So I watched an Open Mike Eagle video on this, and he said, trying to figure out why I don't like this J. Cole song. And I watched it, and I like the J. Cole record.
I do too. I think it's fire.
But he analyzed it from an MC's point of view, and he said, it was cool because he was like going through this in real time, like he was listening to it, and then he was like, I think this is why. And he said, I went back and listened to all the lines, all of his rhymes, and there were only 2 rhymes in the entire verse that he has never heard before. And he's like, everything else I've heard before. And he said, I'm probably looking at this from a more analytical standpoint because of how I listen to things.
And he's an artist.
For sure. But there was like the Sandra Bullock line,
Speed.
That one. And then there was like one other one that he kind of pointed out. And it kind of got me thinking. I was like, that's interesting because like Cole, he's saying a lot. He's doing like, it's like he's checking all the boxes off of making a great record. But
it's a lyrical exercise at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He's just letting you know that I can rap very well. And what he did do in this song, he separated himself from like the Lil Babies.
He's already separated from them, right?
He did, but it's like pretty much putting a stamp on it because that is a more popular style of rap. Like telling you how much I got, and
as opposed to grippy.
He pretty much said, I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on being a rapper's rapper. I'm gonna rap my ass off. This is what I live for. This is what I do, and I'm showing you that. And J. Cole's going to do that. But the mark that he missed was that this wasn't a song that is going to cement him as anything. This is a song for the fans essentially, and for hip hop heads. Yeah. This isn't anything that's moving a needle. It's like, this is exactly what we know J. Cole can do.
I think that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Because I think we fall victim as fans of this music of thinking that when these artists drop, that they have to do something that's going to pretty much shift everything. I don't think that that's fair to say.
Sure. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I think he dropped a song that is 100% true to himself and kind of stays in that lane, so to speak. And really, I can't say like he was telling other artists, don't drive into my lane, I'm going to do something, because we seen what he did the last time. He's just cementing himself as a 100% hip hop rap artist that can do this, and I'm going to continue to do this. And this is just a little sample until I drop my album.
I have a question. So, to your point about when an artist drops, or when Kendrick or when Drake drops, when are the expectations going to change from a standpoint of, oh, I can't wait to see what they're going to drop based off the battle and based off this, versus it goes back to just like J. Cole just dropped something that's dope. It don't have nothing to do with the battle. It's just fire. Because
I think we're already there.
I don't know, because every time Kendrick or Drake puts something out, it's kind of like, well, is he going to say something, or is this person going to say something?
Because they're top two of the food chain right now.
But how long does that, when does that die down and it gets back to, I think, okay, they just dropping dope music?
I think, to me, with GNX, there was a bit of a reset, because like GNX was not about Drake.
Right.
Okay. I mean, like, Drake tried to be slick with it on a couple lines in his new project, but it was just like, all right, dude, like, you missed your moment.
Drake told y'all what it was. I'm about these females and getting this party
kids,
back. Yeah. I'm about to get back to it.
And then at this point, J. Cole already established that, no, I'm not doing this. This doesn't sit well with my spirit.
Yeah.
I think he said something very similar to that at Dreamville in front of all those folks, and gave Kendrick his flowers and was like, I'm not doing this. So I think that's unfair of us as fans at this point, for us to be like, is this part 2 of the beef? Is this going to be the next summer blockbuster beef? Because like, honestly, this was something that garnered our attention as much as any, Marvel movie or whatever that came out this summer.
It's entertainment.
Yeah, I didn't expect the record to have anything to do with Kendrick or anything. I'm just saying, when this record came out, Clouds like, oh, J. Cole dropped another record. I wonder what he's talking about. But not one part of me was like, oh, he's going to take shots at Kendrick. Like, it wasn't.
He can't at this point because he.
But I don't. But again, like, to your point, Jay. Like, I feel like last year when he kind of bowed out on stage, I feel like he made that known. It was just kind of like, nah, that's not me.
That was a sign seal delivered on that whole situation,
right?
And this is just,
but then he dropped Port Antonio and kind of addressed it a little bit. I think the Port Antonio was the song that pretty much wrapped all of that up, because fans are looking for him like, why did you bow out? And Port Antonio was a song where he could actually speak on everything and then just actually put a stamp on it. I'm done with that. Now it's back to being J. Cole, and this song is 100% J. Cole.
Yeah, for sure.
The record is fire, man. The record is fire, but
he's rapping.
Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. Probably not.
This isn't a pop hit, and I think a lot of times
I don't think it has to matter though.
It doesn't, but the problem with the whole Drake Kendrick thing is it turned into a very public pop event. You know what I'm saying? It was very popular. It still is, essentially, because when you look at the charts right now, they're going 1 and 2. No, they're actually battling for number 2. I can't remember who's number 1 right now, but that was put on front stage. J. Cole bowed out of that. This song is not going to enter into that stratosphere. This is just a new song that J. Cole decided to put out to pacify people. I can't even say that. Maybe it's just something he had to get off his chest, something he had to do. But it's not. This is not a move the needle moment. This is just,
let me drop some music.
I'm still here,
man.
and I'm rapping.
Yeah. And the thing about
this is what I do.
Yeah, that's what it is. To me, that's what makes it okay. Is because I'm nice. I put out a record to show y'all that I'm still nice and I still enjoy making music. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yep. I'm still cold, because it's still a cold world. Don't get it twisted. But I ain't got nothing to do with none of the rest of that stuff. I'm just making dope shit, and we going to keep it moving. And I'm fine with him standing his truth on that.
I am too.
Don't bother me at all, because the record is fire. I ran it back multiple times.
It's fire.
I'm going. I like it. Like it a lot.
But it doesn't, again, to the whole point of this conversation as far as putting him back in the equation, the big 3. I don't think anybody's gonna test him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
It just depends on how we look at it.
I don't think he's even in that realm of artists wanting to test him. He's kind of like an anomaly. I've never heard any artist really go at J. Cole.
He's like Black Thought. Nobody's going at Black Thought.
Exactly.
Like, why would you do that?
He's not one of them artists that I feel like going at.
Yeah.
Now, Black Thought is damn near untouchable.
To me, Black Thought is just a more advanced version of J. Cole.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can't play with either one of them. I wouldn't play with either one of them. But Black Thought, to your point, you really can't play with him. You gotta leave him alone. Yeah, you gotta leave him alone.
And then people tried M because he's top of the pop food chain.
Yeah.
Like if that's what you're going for, you're going to aim for that spot. You're gonna say something to him.
But even further, even when you throw people's names like Royce in there or Joel Ortiz who can rap super well or these Eminem's names, right? Like Black Thought and J. Cole are both very much like they're not really taking shots at people. They're just saying they're just saying, yo, I'm really good at what I do.
Yes.
And it's different where Royce is the same, but Royce also has like those bars. It's kind of like inviting you a little bit.
Because he's from Detroit. He comes from that era where they rapped at each other.
Yeah. Like Lupe's kind of the same. Like Lupe invites
somebody else is dangerous.
Yeah. You don't want to with Lupe either.
Lupe's dangerous.
But it's like there's kind of different approaches there, I think.
It's like what's Fonte's line from the documentary where he said, "I'm not saying I'm better than you. I just rap better than you." Yeah. That's them.
It's like,
I just rap better than you.
Yeah, I'm just better. I'm sorry you don't agree, but truth is truth, Facts are facts.
Shout out to Cole, though. I'm going on that record.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com. Shouts to put your W's in the air. So Wu-Tang has announced their final tour. And it's with heavyweights Run the Jewels. There's the other name on the bill, which is probably going to be pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's fire.
So, I don't really have to talk much about Wu-Tang Clan. We all know about Wu-Tang Clan. So, like, if this is the final tour for the Wu-Tang Clan, what are your guys' thoughts?
I've seen them
I know you've seen them
3 times. And I actually might go see this.
That's what I was going to ask.
I've never seen Run the Jewels.
Me neither.
That's why I probably want to go see it, because I went to see it last time they were here with Nas. Wu-Tang is a hip hop cultural icon in a sense that if you came from their time where they came up and what they grew to be, they're an institution. They're pop culture now.
Yeah.
You can go buy a T-shirt at Target.
Yeah.
Walmart.
I was there before Ghostface actually revealed his face and you knew who it was.
Yeah.
So to see them transition and come into their own and be this group now that's on a final hurrah tour, I kind of don't agree with it. And I'm gonna say this.
Well, this is
the reason why I don't agree.
This is the collection, though. This is just the collection. It's like Wu-Tang Clan.
This is why I don't agree with it, man. And it goes to the age-old conversation of hip hop does not have to retire. Yeah. You can keep touring like the Rolling Stones. Granted, there's members of the Wu-Tang Clan who are no longer with us.
Yeah,
but you can still tour until y'all decide to just really be done touring.
But imagine how hard it is going to be to get 9 members to go on tour.
And I think that's the selling point, is the fact that this is the last run with the collective.
Do we know this for sure that everyone's going to be there? Because honestly, we see a lot of times you can say Wu-Tang Clan.
It's like 3 people.
And
I think
if it's everybody, then I think it's worth it.
Because I've never seen Wu-Tang Clan back when Wu-Tang is Forever dropped. I didn't see ODB. He wasn't here because he was in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I've seen pieces of them.
I've seen Red and Meth before. I've seen
everybody
Ghost.
but ODB.
I've seen Ray and Ghost.
But I've never seen them all. So let's just say ODB son, Cap's gonna be there, and then the rest of the living members. I think that would be fire to see all of them together. I think that would be dope.
That's what would make it special.
Yeah, I think that would be dope. So if that's the selling point, that everybody's gonna be here, then this is
the icing on the cake. To me is Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
I've never seen Killer Mike live.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or LP for that matter.
I have when him and Big Boy came to the Vogue.
Oh, I bet that was a good
years
show.
ago though. But Yeah.
No, I did see that show.
Yeah,
I take that
that's
back.
right. You were at that show. I
Yeah.
remember. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you
I've
saw
seen that show.
I remember seeing you there.
I haven't seen
The Run
Killer
the
Mike.
Jewels
I haven't seen Killer
you
Mike
saw
do
Killer
his
Mike.
own thing.
Yeah.
So
No, that was Run the Jewels because Gabe came to Coaches.
Gabe is DJ Trackstar.
I'm just using government names. I'm sorry,
you
man.
definitely put people information.
LP wasn't there.
No, I don't think that was Run the Jewels.
No, but the thing is,
maybe it was just him there DJing.
Maybe
yeah, it was him there
toured-
DJing. So it wasn't Run the Jewels. Okay.
Nice guy, by the way.
It's crazy. I met Gabe. I met Trackstar randomly at A3C one year. Remember the year where we went and we were just handing people cards and taking pictures. We got a picture with him and I forget who else is in the picture.
I just met him at All-Star game.
That's when I met him.
Last year. He was there with you.
Yeah, Jay
at the
introduced
All-Star
him.
game
Yep.
during
In the
the tree
basement.
show.
Yeah.
In the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think if this is their last tour run, right? Quote unquote with all of the members. I don't think there's like a finality to it because they're still obviously gonna perform in pockets or whatever. But I was thinking to myself, what is their overall legacy to me is damn near untouchable. But are there any things on the Wu-Tang's
I think the
that,
brand Wu-Tang is untouchable.
That's what I was getting to.
Because when we talk about the discography of Wu-Tang, that's where it gets kind of murky.
And that was
when
going
we
to be
talk
my
about
question.
them as a group. My bad. I ain't mean.
No,
to
you're
cut
good, bro.
Your question.
Because my question is, what are the blemishes on the legacy? Like, are there any blemishes?
I don't want to really focus on it. You know,
I'm not saying it's bad, but Terry made a good point.
Everything,
don't do that long.
Everything in the last 20 years.
Yeah, as a whole,
yes.
Wu-Tang. If you, Jay Moore, if you put the CDs on the table with all members of Wu-Tang Clan,
with everybody together,
yeah. There's like
it stopped at the Iron Flag.
Oh man,
and that was
he's so serious.
It really stopped at the W.
Yeah,
but Iron Flag had a couple.
Oh my god,
9 diagrams,
8,
exactly.
whatever.
You don't even know the number.
In the world, me personally, I'm more so.
The world is at peace, and we need to save it. No, we don't want that one either.
There are members of Wu-Tang Clan that talk bad about Wu-Tang Clan albums. So
I'm more so
in interviews.
I'm more sold on how Wu-Tang moves as an entity, solo wise.
For sure, me too.
Facts
versus as a group. Yeah. Now,
except for Reza's producer video for Guitar Center.
I'm just going to add a little hi-hat, a normal.
That's probably one of the, and that's one of my favorites. That's probably one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It's bad. It's been popping up on my timeline all the time right now.
Yeah. But I mean, if we gonna keep it a buck though, like we are people that are when Wu-Tang was for the children, we were the children.
Yeah,
we were.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So we've seen.
Can't tell me nothing about Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
at all.
We've seen how they evolved. We've seen who the members were that did their thing, who we thought might have did their thing and didn't do their thing. And we've seen the whole picture.
Yeah.
So when I talk about Wu-Tang as a unit, musically on the table, they have
2.
Nah,
Three.
I would give them
3. They got 3 solids.
Solids
and a possible.
Classics.
That's a good space hand if you have a partner.
They have
facts.
They have Wu-Tang Forever. They
Classic.
have 36 Chambers.
Classic.
And they have the W.
Good.
They have part of Iron Flag.
Iron Flag got about 3 or 4 on there.
3 or 4 out of 15.
Is that the one where I
12.
can't go to sleep because I'll never? I love.
No,
that
that's on the W.
That's right. That
Iron Flag is a pinky ring.
Pinky ring.
Yeah,
Uzi,
pinky ring.
Yeah.
The W was solid. The
W was solid.
W was solid.
Yes.
But like
I still be playing
that Redman verse with the boom 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 like the beat when he was rap. Come on, I mean like
Gravel Pit had Tamala Jones in the video.
Sure did.
And Hollow Bones is fire.
Plastic is
W was fire.
Yeah.
So they actually had 3 in a row.
I'll give them 3.
I'm gonna give him 3 in a row.
I'll give them 3.
Yeah.
A Better Tomorrow, and then
that's what it's called.
A Better Tomorrow.
Tomorrow was not better.
And then
you can throw that
12 diagrams. How many diagrams?
Stop.
Is it?
Stop there.
Yeah.
But when we talk
in the past,
when we talk about them as solo artists,
it's different.
It's very different.
Yes.
Now that's where they stand out.
Because then you got Ghostface, who's got like album after album after album after album after album.
Man.
Ray got heat.
You know, like Inspector Deck, and then his late career resurgence with Czarface.
Yep. RZA's solo joints.
Well,
Bobby Digital was fire. Don't do that.
His first 2.
RZA
Don't do that.
GZA's first 2 joints are crazy.
And you know what? I used to get into it. Shout out to my man.
Not the blue CD.
Shout out to my man Frank.
Birth of a Prince
with grits on it.
Don't do that.
No, stop that.
Don't do that.
I
do that,
used,
Lo. Don't do that.
Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I was disappointed in Beneath the Surface initially.
I love Beneath the Surface.
I thought it was okay.
And I think it was because Liquid Swords basically defined my freshman year of college, and just
that's
so much of
different.
What
it's
so
not
much,
comparable.
But
that's different.
But then I had to listen to it on its own merits. I was like, Beneath the Surface was dope.
Beneath the Surface was fire.
You know,
There's heat on Beneath the Surface.
But it reminded me of like the difference between like Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links and then his
Please don't say
Immobilarity.
That shit
Don't do that.
I don't think it's the same.
Don't do that.
I don't think it's the same.
I mean, Immobilarity is not
good.
Sneakers
That's what
is
I'm saying.
Fire.
Okay,
You're
that's
talking
one
about
song,
a song,
man.
I'm just saying.
No, to me personally,
Sneakers is fire.
Beneath the Surface was a very, very good album in my personal opinion.
I did not, but I didn't like.
Immobilarity was like,
No, I can't even give it.
Immobilarity was trash. Jay Moore.
It had 2 records on it that I liked.
Man, listen.
I spent money on that. I spent money on Immobilarity. I went to the store and bought it.
I like the beat
and
where it's like
mad.
where it was like da 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 da.
That's
I don't even remember.
That's Sneakers.
I haven't. Immobilarity didn't have a whole lot of replay value in my whip.
None.
No, it didn't.
But Beneath the Surface did.
Yeah.
And this is me talking
Kind
from
of.
somebody that had a system
It was a little
in my
better.
car, and it sounded really good to me.
That's not Sneakers.
That's not Sneakers.
That's but that beat is cold.
I like that.
What was that song?
I like the fact that he shouted out Naptown on the song on the
I think
Immobilarity.
I will give you Beneath the Surface is a little bit better, and GZA, like, he's a lyrical person, so like if you go back and listen to the lyrics on Beneath the Surface, I think it stretches it a lot, but it still wasn't really touching production wise.
I just thought about that because you're right. That beat that you talking about,
It's not Sneakers.
It's not Sneakers is fire, but that's not it. But that beat is cold.
It's so
That beat is cold.
When the drums dropped and he came in, it's like,
And then Method Man had Tikal, of course. Then he had
T2 Judgment Day, which was fire.
After that, so he had 2 in a row that were very good, in my personal opinion. He had some joints that was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then he had the Blackout album with Redman.
Man.
Fire.
And his features are really good.
Come on, Redman don't play.
Did y'all like You Guys' album?
Yes.
Yeah,
I know you do. You the only one that's ever stood up for it.
Capadonna's first album.
Oh my God.
What about War is Extremely Dangerous and it saddens me to have to take things to deadly measures?
All right.
Shouts,
Say that 5 times fast.
Even Bayou had to laugh at that.
shouts to my dude, Bobby Hamon,
Yo,
Master Killer.
he had an album called No Said Date. Yeah, I'm a Wu nerd, so yeah.
One of them was reasonably okay.
Yeah.
Inspect the Deck.
Uncontrolled Substance is one of my favorite
Come on,
projects
man.
out the Wu. period.
One of my
Substance
favorite.
is fire.
I Method Man's 421 the day after.
Yes,
It's
It's
that's a
got
good
some heat
album.
on there.
That's one of those records that I just feel like the world was in such a different place where they weren't ready to receive a Method Man album. I was, and so I remember playing that record a lot.
Yeah.
You got to remember too, man. This is a feather in the Wu's cap. Some of these records that we're talking about are not just dope Wu-Tang projects. Only Built for Cuban Links is one of those projects that I would call one of them ones. When you talk Doggy Style, you talk all these iconic records, it's right there. Supreme Clientele. These albums are Iron Man.
All right, come on,
all these joints are right there with the rest. Illmatic and all the rest of those joints. They're right there.
And I have them higher, actually.
And honestly, if they could have cleared the samples for Bulletproof Wallets,
oh man,
you know, if they the Sun,
Maxine,
Good
Sunny and
Times.
Cher joint, remember?
yeah, I know. Oh, the Sun,
With Slick Rick.
No,
Slick Rick
the
was
Sun.
on it.
There was a song called Good Times where it was basically a flip of the good times. Ain't they lucky we got her.
Come on, man.
But shout out to my man James Biko. He used to play those songs on the radio.
And he had that joint, Never Be the Same Again.
That was a single.
Thomas.
That
joint
was
hard.
smooth, but it was still Ghostface.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Lisa Ray was in the video.
Yeah.
Had that big ass
when
eagle.
we talk about Wu-Tang
The
Clan,
Forest.
there is no way that you don't respect them as somebody that moved the culture in a certain way that nobody else did. And that's one of the reasons why I'm probably going to go see this show featuring Run the Jewels.
RZA.
Real fast.
RZA. So,
Speaking of Wu-Tang.
speaking of Wu-Tang, RZA sat down with, I believe they're from the New York Times Popcast.
Yeah.
And RZA talked about the moment that Wu-Tang Clan decided to go on tour and cater to white fans.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a really cool clip. So let's go ahead and swap this over here and play this clip.
And no, there wasn't no touring like that, but there was club days,
Right.
and colleges and all that. That's fun.
Yep.
And you can make some cheese like that, but you're not going to make it to the top of the food chain.
Sure.
Like that. And so my idea, along with Steve Rifkin and Rich Eisen, we talked about it. It was like, yo, Wu-Tang would rage. When it came time for the Rage tour, there's a lot of white fans out there.
There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
That are ready for us. And so my pitch to the team was, we go here first in the summer, and then on the fall homecomings, we go back and get the blacks. But that didn't feel good. You know what I mean? Because when you out there and you Raekwon the Chef, or you Ghostface Killer and shit, and you want your bitch and you want your shit, and not taking nothing from them, but you young and you want to feel
A certain kind
that
of
hip hop thing you get when watch these rap get all up in your guts, and bitches is like that, and bitches got on their rings and they fly. You want to see all that. See the Benz. You want to see all your homies.
Rez is so hilarious.
He's so New York, man.
Yeah, because that's how it was.
So you came up.
Yeah, that's 95. That's 96. When Cuban Links drop and you go to Philly, it's like
Sounds like Bong Bong.
All the ballers are there. We doing Rage Against the Machine. We ain't hitting Philly. We hitting Camden.
Different energy.
Yeah.
Not the same.
But it's 30,000
No, I'm
people
saying.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience on that tour.
Yeah.
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 I think there was a couple things that stood out to me on this interview, and especially with this part right here is there's a part that's not on here where he talks about he was standing next to there was a white kid that was talking to his mom on the cell phone, and she was talking about all the stuff that he saw, but he got the most excited about seeing the Wu-Tang logo and the Wu-Tang guys. And it goes to what he was talking about in terms of the crossover part. But the piece where he talks about the guys looking out to the crowd and that feeling different, that I really thought about that, because as an artist, you want to connect with your audience, but I could definitely see them being thrown off because it's like 10,000 white folks out there.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that.
He also referenced, like, he talked to Questlove, and Questlove had some weird feelings about it too.
Yeah.
He was like, sure, yeah, now I can buy a house, but at the same time, it's weird to go on stage.
Yeah, because he said Quest was scared when he went out there.
Yeah.
Listen,
So I can see that.
I'll say this about that whole, even experiencing that in real time.
Because you're talking about the Rage and Wu-Tang
Rage, you actually went.
I was there. It was Rage Against the Machine, Wu-Tang Clan, Atari Teenage Riot. This actually helped Wu-Tang, because like when we talk about Wu-Tang being recognized from a popular or pop point of view, without them going on tour with Rage Against the Machine and Atari Teenage Riot, it wouldn't have started the snowball effect of everybody knowing who they were.
I do believe that.
At this point in time, though, this was what,
96, 97. Yeah.
Summer of 97.
Yeah, 97.
So Wu-Tang,
Wu-Tang
is
Forever,
Forever, it just came out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying at this point in time, they hadn't reached that status.
This is
Absolutely
like the
not.
ultimate crossover.
They had not reached that crossover yet. Now, granted, they were on MTV.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody in America had MTV. But them going on tour with Rage Against the Machine,
right,
who was big at the time.
For sure.
It was their tour.
Yeah.
Atari Teenage Riot, Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang was the only hip hop act on this tour. And this was in Noblesville, Indiana. Grant, to his point, him saying in Camden.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like Philly. It doesn't look like the Tunnel in New York.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It don't even look like, I can go as far as say Indianapolis, because I mean, we had a lot of hip hop shows here like that were in smaller arenas, like at the it was the Murat Center. Now it's Old National, but we had hip hop tours here. But them going on tour with them gave them a totally different audience, a totally different reach, and at the end of the day, it actually helped their careers. Yeah, in my personal opinion.
I'm sure it did, but yeah.
You know,
I guess I just didn't have the framing of how big they actually were in 1996, 97, as opposed to 98. You know, like how much
36 Chambers was like
how big Wu-Tang Forever really was, I guess.
It was big, and it's because of that tour. Because like when I talk about when Enter the 36 Chambers came out, and I can go back to high school, I was an anomaly because I was just a fan of music. So like when I'm in school, they actually used to call me East Coast a lot because I listened to East Coast music. I didn't alienate East Coast rap. You know what I'm saying? I listened to everything. So Wu-Tang was one of my favorite groups in junior high school. You know what I'm saying? Before Wu-Tang is Forever. Wu-Tang is Forever dropped my senior year.
Was that
97.
97. So I was a freshman in 97, and that's the same year I remember Uncontrolled Substance dropped, I think, too.
I bought the double CD
and
for
that's
Wu-Tang
what got
Forever.
and that's
Uncontrolled Substance.
I thought that was 98. Maybe it's 97.
Uncontrolled Substance came after
Wu-Tang
Forever.
Clan came out June 3rd, 1997.
Yeah. Uncontrolled Substance came out after that, if I'm not mistaken.
But that's the album that got me into Wu-Tang was Inspector Deck's album.
Inspector Deck album.
So I had already been listening to Wu-Tang since 94.
Right.
By this time, and nobody was really rocking with Wu-Tang. It was like when you met somebody that listened or liked Wu-Tang.
It was rare
like,
even in
what's
high
up,
school.
man? You know what
We
I'm saying?
know that.
Yeah,
It was rare. It was a few people.
So it's like y'all came together as being the people that listen to Wu-Tang Clan.
Right.
It's like seeing the Jedi. It's like, oh, you know about that?
I didn't or wasn't introduced to any friends that I met through Wu-Tang that I'm not still cool with now.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And we were far and few between at that point in time. And then when Wu-Tang is Forever came out and they went on tour, that shit blew up.
Well, I mean, look, as someone who has, and I can see where Riz is coming from, despite the fact that you're seeing 30,000 people, or not 30,000, but a lot of people, a lot more people than you would have seen at a club date or at a college tour, you know. But I've hosted so many events over the past 20, 25 years. You know, there's something, about being in the grimy, almost situation where everyone's energy is comparable to yours, as opposed to, it's hard to say, 'cause, when you're talking about Rage Against the Machine, you're saying it's more corporate because that's definitely not what they're about.
No, not at all.
But
it was more white though.
Yeah.
Facts.
But at the same time, you're like,
edge.
It was, but it's like, damn, okay, they might be feeling us, they might slam dance, but it's different than when you have, the hustlers come out. It's different when you have, the girls come out and they got the ice cream.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just different.
No, I feel that.
And so I can see where maybe there were parts of Wu-Tang who were like, nah, man, I'm not really feeling this vibe. As opposed to like, we get into the money, and at the same time, like I heard RZA, it might have been somebody else in the group. So at that point, we hadn't really gone on a big tour.
Yeah,
we had been doing club dates and little spots off here and there. But as far as being on a stage and having this type of time and the curfew and like we hadn't done that. And so, like, it's hard to go from club dates to not just arenas, but amphitheaters.
Yeah. So let's say they didn't do this. If they hadn't have done this, in hindsight 2020, they would be Souls of Mischief.
I don't think so.
Nah, yeah.
Because the thing is, Wu-Tang Forever went number one.
You're right.
On the pop chart before they went on.
They had a good budget on that, too.
Before they
had a good budget.
I just remember, like, you went to the record store and, like, you saw Wu-Tang Forever for $27 or whatever, and you had to make some real financial decisions, but you went ahead and be like, all right, let me go.
Copping that. That's easy.
I paid $26.99 for it. I bought it in
cop.
Mississippi while I was visiting my grandmother.
Somebody gave it to me.
Easy.
Didn't like
Damn,
it.
for real?
You didn't like it.
It had a double CD, and the second one was enhanced, where you could get like special features.
When
and
you
stuff
put
like
that second CD on and it's yours, come on, man. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about that shit.
Yeah.
Because that was the second CD. That was the second half of this shit. And that's the first song that you were introduced to, versus when you put in that Bone Thugs and Harmony double album.
It's gonna come
and they
back.
had to give you the feature with Tupac on it.
Look, I just remember a friend of mine bought the wrong version. And
I did that too.
Bought it's like, it's Woo, mother.
No, I bought the wrong version when I got the Enter the 36 Chambers. I actually bought the wrong version.
There was a clean version of 36 Chambers?
Yes, because you know how I got it? I got it from the penny raffle, which was BMG.
Yeah.
So I bought a whole bunch of shit, and I checked off the wrong version. So my version of Enter the 36 Chambers was clean. So I ended up having to buy that twice.
Bring the ruckus.
Yeah.
You know what?
Couldn't even listen to
what
it.
I loved is like how, you know, this was still at a time when they did their edits would just flip words, or like maybe silence them, and then like in like NWA would rewrite the song, which is something that was crazy. But like Wu-Tang had kung fu noises and bees. Like
Lone said a whole bunch of bees.
no, I loved Wu edited versions because it was actually they're actually kind of fun to listen to.
Is there anything negative around the mindset that Reza had here about
Trying to get to white folks.
Negative? You said is there anything negative?
trying to get the white folks' attention to get to that money in that type of way? Are you ostracizing fan base? Are you ostracizing culture in a sense?
If they had changed who they were to do that, then it makes me look different. But they stayed authentic through the whole process.
That is true.
So that's why I'm not going to.
And I think being on a bill with somebody like Rage Against the Machine as opposed to like Creed.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Creed wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, but that's just an example.
A different time.
But no,
period,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you know.
It actually, like, when you talk about, because Wu-Tang essentially was a rebellion. It wasn't a rebellion in the sense of a Rage Against the Machine. As a fan of hip hop and you rock with Wu-Tang, that kind of was your rebellion as far as this is my pocket of people. You know, so it fit with Rage Against the Machine and Atari Teenage Riot.
Do you know what tour I had heard about? It never happened, but what would have been the first like kind of rap rock tour? This was like the word, but of course NWA fell apart. It was going to be NWA and Guns N' Roses. And
that would have been crazy.
And if you look at the You Could Be Mine video, which was off of it was the lead single for
Terminator 2, right?
Yeah, for Terminator 2. It was also for Use Your Illusion that Axl Rose actually has on the NWA hat in the video. That was a thing that was going to happen, but you know, they just went left.
I actually liked Guns N' Roses.
Use Your Illusion 2 is fire front to back.
Yeah, I like Guns N' Roses.
Like
Yeah,
no
is that the blue one or the yellow one?
The blue one.
The blue one. That's the one I had.
That's fire.
I didn't.
November Rain. Like,
Yeah.
It's got everything on that. Like all the hits. Like there's no skips on that.
Because the thing
I had
is,
the tape.
Yeah, because the crazy thing is, it's like instead of putting out a double album, there's like, okay, well, we know our fans like
we gonna tell you something twice.
Yeah, they was like, you can get which one that you want if you combine both.
Blue
if
one
you
was
want to.
fire.
Yeah, because the blue one had You Could Be Mine on it.
It had all the big ones.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Civil War, which was a super great song too. But yeah.
Isn't Axl from Indiana?
Yep.
He is.
Yeah.
Yep, he is.
Shout out to the Wu, man.
Shout out to Wu
Reza.
and white fans.
Gotta have them.
Yep. Was this like the? You got to.
Gotta have them. Gotta have them.
Here's another random question. What was the first hip hop act to garner a lot of white fandom?
Run DMC.
Do you think? Like, was it on a mass scale? Like,
No, it wasn't, because I'll tell you this.
I mean, on the scale of like Wu-Tang Clan.
My first concert, I've been to a lot of concerts.
Good question.
Man. My first concert, I was probably 5 years old, and it was Fresh Fest 84. So this is dating me, letting you know.
It's all good.
I was a year old
Yeah.
Buy you one here.
in Guam.
My brother really wanted to go see Houdini
And they, like, had to
Run
take you.
DMC, and the whole deal was my mom went, he went, and I went, obviously. This is a tour. This was back when Market Square Arena was around.
Yep.
Come on.
It was not full by any way, shape, or form. I remember we were sitting there. We could have went down further if we wanted to. My mother was an honest person, so we sat where she bought the tickets.
That's
I ain't
shout
mad at that.
out
Shout
to
moms for that.
Yeah.
That's
shout out to
real.
black mothers just being like, no, these are the tickets we paid for.
We
and
sat
this is
where
where
we
we're
bought
going
the
to sit.
tickets.
That's right.
I think I was able to see Nucleus, Run DMC, Houdini, JD was out there breakdancing and shit. There was no white people there at this particular show that I remember.
Right.
I don't remember seeing any white folks at this particular show. Now, when NWA came into play, if you look at those concerts, you see lots of white people in the audience. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Run DMC introduced a lot of white folks to hip hop once they did the song with Aerosmith,
Aerosmith record.
and then they were featured on Sesame Street.
True.
But before that, I don't think that they moved the needle as far as
maybe not. But
white
I'm thinking
folks.
about the post. That's probably what I'm thinking about. After they'd been on Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about that era where they show the crowd, and it was mostly not black people.
Yes.
You know,
You talking about the
100%
video?
true.
The video for the Aerosmith joint?
no. What Aerosmith? Walk This Way was what 86,
86, 87.
And so I just remember going forward. You know, when you look at those crowds, and when you're talking about those big hip hop shows that were major metropolitan areas,
86.
Yeah, you're talking about you can't even have, maybe not in '84 when it was Rockbox and King of Rock, but by the time it got to '86,
100%.
white people was involved, especially in that tour when they was on tour with the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a rap then.
Now that right there is different. Yeah, when you go out with the Beasties, that's different.
And then when you talk about that tour, it might have been Raising Hell, not the Raising Hell tour. Well, yeah, probably Raising Hell tour. It was when they did the first episode of Yo MTV Raps, and it's like Fresh Prince and Chuck D. Like when they show the crowd, it's everybody.
You know what's crazy too? That you bring up Public Enemy. Public Enemy's crowds there was a lot of white folks in them crowds.
Oh yeah.
As militant minded as Public Enemy's lyrics were, they weren't really, I can't say racist or even prejudiced, but it was to energize black people, but their crowd was mainly white people.
Hey man, you don't have to be black to be pro-black.
True.
Yeah. Well, shout out to
No, I'm just saying. Like,
he got a point.
Shout out to Forrest Gump.
Look,
Yeah.
Look, I'm saying when you go, like, it's just crazy when you see the hip hop artists who have had more of a progressive message. Who do you see in the crowds?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember going to it was like a Dead Prez show.
Yeah.
It might have been 40-50% white people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The crazy thing, I remember there was a night when, gosh, we've been doing coaches for so long. It was one of the nights when it was a flip in the midterms to where the Republicans took the House. I think it was during Obama's administration.
Yeah, I remember that night.
And I just remember there are all these, folks who were a part of the Republican Party, but what did they want to hear? Too Short. They wanted to hear NW. They wanted Public Enemy. But I'm like, damn, I wish you'd have listened to the lyrics other than just the beat.
Yeah.
Man.
What are you doing out here?
and that's kind of the commonality between, maybe to the Rage Against the Machines and some of these other groups as well. When we were talking about the connectiveness of like the anti-ness of Wu-Tang and the anti-ness of Rage Against the Machine, and of course Public Enemy and all this other, a lot of those people are kind of the same types of people that would vibe with the same type of stuff. Most of them, they're people that are finding out 25 years later that Rage Against the Machine means something completely different than what they thought it meant. But,
yeah.
but
I don't even see how they thought that it meant different than what it
Back then.
It literally told you what it meant.
it's just, you know,
Tom Morello was very,
Come on, man.
Zach De La Rocha, they were very honest about where they were coming from.
deconstructing indoctrination is a very challenging thing.
You are very true.
And, something that I speak on very often.
And it kind of goes back to the conversation we had where it got cloudy, where you couldn't tell who was with what versus what they listened to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
around that time.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah.
Yeah.
NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, and subscribe. Also, give us a 5-star rating on any rating platform that you see. Remember to check out our Patreon options as well. We have a lot of cool things going on there, a lot of cool offers. We appreciate the support as always, and we see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah.